Oh god. I had made the determination that I was going to stream today no matter what, and then I ended up getting sick. Just fortuitous? Unfortuitous? It's unlucky is what I'm trying to say. But yeah. You're gonna have to be patient with me today. I think I'm not gonna be speaking very much. I'll try not to anyway, but I'm very prone to yapping a lot. My voice sounds weird, yes, because I'm sick and my throat is very sore. I'm gonna sore like my name, ha. I'm gonna try to not force it very much, although it's not like I ever really force it while streaming, do I? I don't tend to be the yelly, screamy type of streamer. But I'll try to do it even less today. So I may be a bit not speaking very much compared to other occasions. I have some tea, some ginger tea and a Gatorade and a big 1 liter bottle of water. Actually, 1 liter is not that big. I wish I had a jug. So hydration's gonna be not that great of a trouble. So, yeah. Today I wanted to work on the project that I had been working on, the Godot project. Man, it really is curious how I will say, oh, I wish I could stream, I want to stream more often, and then I'll just not show up for like 2 months, right? To be fair, I am going to college, and that's most of the reason why. But I am also a lazy fuck, so that also happens. And I'm not gonna deny that I've been playing video games when I could have been streaming. However, I did make some progress in this game, mostly just because I had some time in between classes, and they have really good computers at the uni. So I just took advantage of that, and I've been sort of making a bit of progress. Not a lot of progress. Well, we're about to see. So, essentially, what I have done is... Ta-da! Right. So this is the game. Essentially, I was working on the camera system. You see on my to-do list right there? Right there? The camera system? Yeah, that's what I've been working on. First of all, somebody while I was there told me how to put an environment on the scene. So now the scene view doesn't look like complete ass. Actually, still kinda does. What the fuck? Did I not save that? Well, you know what? That's fine. There, and just leave it as default. And it still looks kind of like ass. What's this name? The environment. Yeah, just give me the default environment. Nope, still looks like ass. What the heck is going on? Oh, I clearly don't know how this works then. What the heck is going on here? Oh, what an idiot! Yeah, oh no, of course. Yeah, it's because I forgot to pull the repo from Git. Okay, give me a second for that then. Yeah, I did save those changes. I just didn't pull them because they were local on the other computer. You know how it is, version control, right? Let's see. Giddy up. The Git manager that I use, then Pulvis, then these uncommitted changes we don't care about. Yes, discard them. Then push, pull, or fetch, pull, and yeah, that should do it. That should do it. So then open Godot back up. the other window. Okay, there you go. This is the way it actually is supposed to look. I made the ground gray, black, just so that it was easier to see. I added some cylinders, I changed the path, that's just to test stuff. And then I added this camera node with a script. What is that bounding rectangle on the test scene? What is that? Camera. That's weird. What is that? What does that correspond to? I don't get it. Well, either way, doesn't matter. Okay, so yeah, this is what I did. I added a world environment, which with this environment, and yeah, so now that when you run the project, it actually looks vaguely like what it looks. The other thing I added was a bit of a camera system. So as you can see, the camera now follows this guy. Now here's the thing. This could be very easily, this behavior could be very easily managed by just attaching a camera to the player and then have it be at a fixed position from the player. But there's some extra stuff here that you're not seeing, right? The camera has a script, and this script includes a target that it is following and some offsets, the initial offsets and rotation offsets. These are just the initials, so they're going to be able to be changed during runtime, but this is also made as a tool script, so that means that when I change these values here, the camera will actually move to represent those values. That makes it easier to work with stuff in the editor, right? These rotation offsets are just gonna, while keeping the camera pointed at the player, they're going to rotate it in each of these axes. So, And the cool thing is that these rotations and positions are relative to the spline, the curve that the player is following. So they're not world rotations. They are relative to the player, even though the camera is not a child node of the player. And the reason for that is that sometimes we may want the camera to be following something else. The other thing that I made is that this camera node has a bunch of components other than itself. So this is the position of the camera, and this is the position of the actual camera. So, that's how it manages to be centered on something, is that the root node is at the position of the thing that is following, and then this camera is pointed to it. That way it doesn't need to fetch the position from the player. It can just copy it directly, and then it's here, referenced locally, right? It has a path snapper, so the camera follows a path. If we point it at just some other location, it is still going to have its offsets relative to that path. So that makes it so that it works with the sort of base assumption that we're making about this game, that everything is going to be attached to a path to give that 2.5D feel. And then we have this transitioner that basically just changes a position given an amount of time, right? Did that make any sense? I don't think that made any sense. Well, yeah, basically, this is a thing that I just tell it, hey, I want you to switch to this rotation, and I want that switch to take 2 seconds, and then it'll calculate the positions until those 2 seconds expire to get that to happen. So the idea is, this game camera is going to change the position of this camera node according to that position, if that shit is set. Now, the thing that I don't remember is if I actually hooked that up, because this has a timeout, but this is on the camera. Which script? Actually, close them all. On the camera transition, yes. So when the timer runs out, it says active transition false, managing transition position false, and managing rotation all to false. And then who checks these variables then? Right, these are just variables, so they are meant for you to check it. Okay? Yeah, it should be on set offset. Right, so now this guy needs to check with that camera transitioner. So if this camera transitioner has an active transition, that it should not use this offset, but rather use the offset given by this, right? But then that means that when the transition is done, this is just going to return to having that offset anyway. So what we have to do is that when a transition gets triggered, then those should be updated. But that shouldn't be the job of the transitioner because those are variables stored in the game camera. So yeah, so the offset needs to check if a transition is active, and if it is, take the transition from the camera transitioner. So yeah. So yeah, let's make this easier because I could check active transition, but it might be better to have a function that will tell, so that we're not accessing local variables of the camera transitioner. Right? Or no, actually, because we're just reading them, right? But do you make a variable private in Godot anyways? Okay, so Godot doesn't do private variables. So then I wouldn't really call this like a bad thing that I'm doing, just checking this variable, so long as I know that I'm not touching it, right? So You have to know about the camera transitioner, don't you? Do you already know about the camera transitioner? No, okay. And it's you. And then if there's no active transition, then just do that. If there is, then okay, never mind. Actually, there's a better way to write this. I'm gonna create two other functions. Right? And so the idea is then do something, otherwise do this. Right? And what is it that it does? It checks with the transition handler the current position. Is that it actually? Is that what I called it? Current position. Yes, it is the current position. Good. Why are you freaking out? Camera position previewer. Whoa. Oh, because the code isn't compiling. So. There you go. So that's gonna stop it from freaking out. Then if rotation, then you're gonna do something, otherwise you're gonna do what you were doing before. Yes. And that's the way it should work. So the idea is the camera determines somehow that a transition needs to happen. It's going to send the camera transitioner the variables, and then it's going to check against the camera transitioner until such a time as the camera transitioner decides that it has finished its transition, and then from that point on it's just going to use its own values. Yeah, that should do it, right? Now, how do we test it? Well, there's an easy debug way, right? we're going to go to the project settings. So we're going to create a new input. This is going to be a new action. It's going to be debug force camera transition. We're going to make this just F1. Right? So then we're gonna give the game camera a we'll give the game camera a function. It's going to be do transition. And then it's going to receive two variables that are going to be, should be a vector 3, right? Yeah. How do you write that? I always forget. Like this. And then all this is gonna do is it's gonna take camera transitioner. It's going to tell it begin transition. Time. Okay. It's gonna tell it in transition. Time. The front position is the current position, so offset. The to position is the end position. The from rotation is the current rotation, so rotation offset. The 2 is the end, right? And then we're gonna sort of use the same nomenclature from the transition, from the camera transitioner, where actually no, this is fine. But the transition handler checks for empty ones. So. And then we're gonna go to the process and we're gonna do that if the key has been pressed. So if input action press, it will force camera transition, then you're going to do transition of 1 second to offset plus vector 2 vector 3 point right rotation offset plus vector 3-point right, and let's times this by something. Oh no, 15. Oh, this simulates the press. Okay, so that's not the one that I wanted. It's input. Should be is. I can just press. That's the one. Okay, so now the camera should move. I don't care about where, but it should take 1 second to move whenever I press the F1 key. To move somewhere, right? Actually, since it was given vector right, then it should move to the right and then rotate a certain amount, which may be radians or degrees, I'm not sure. Okay, so you have the camera, the character moves, you know, everything works fine. The camera follows properly as he moves, as he rotates around the space, right? And if I press F1, yeah, what the fuck happened there? And float, so you're saying the float is a null value. Why is float a null value? Transition time is not really modified here. So, yeah. To transition does not give you an empty value because you receive time and you receive time from here, so time is 1.0, right? So why is it null? Oh wait, no, you're calling the method on a null value. That means that you don't know who your timer is. That's what it is. Okay. Okay, now it should work. So I press F1. Okay, so the camera moved, but that didn't take a second. It actually kind of only stayed for a second, so the timer part is working. But the actual lerp isn't. What's going on? Let's print the current position at the physics process. Okay, so you see a bunch of zeros, it seems to not really be changing properly. Like it's just staying at 0. Okay. Except for here, when it becomes not a number for a couple frames, which is worrying. Well, how would you print me the lerp amount then? It should be a number that, as the transition goes from 0 to 1 second, it should go from either 0 to 1 or 1 to 0. I forget how I made it, right? Well, that explains it. This is a number that's going from a really high number to a number that is... It's converging to 1. When it should go from 0 to that number. It's going from infinite, right, so this is clearly just a math mistake then. you're taking the total transition time, dividing it by the total transition time minus the amount of time that there's. So the total transition time is 1. You're taking 1 and dividing it by, if the transition takes 1 second and half a second has passed, then you're taking time left, there's only half a second left, right? You're taking the total time, 1, subtracting 0.5 from that, so 0.5, and you're taking 1 and dividing it by 0.5. 1 divided by 0.5 is 2. Yeah, I'm an idiot. I put the division the other way around. Like this. Okay, well, now we have a number that's going from 0 to 1. Right? Yes, so then you calculate the position by that lerp amount, which is from 0 to 1. From rotation to 2 rotation by lerp amount. And lerp 2 lerps with vector 3s. Is that a thing that you can do? Okay, well, what's sort of going on here then? Because the lerp works, the lerp number works. So what's the from position and the to position? What's the deal there? Oh, I'm not writing the from positions and to positions permanently, so they're just staying as the default, which is empty. Okay. So, yeah, okay, and yeah, and then we write them here, so. And then the same thing here, but for rotations. And that should help us. Whoa, what the fuck? Nope, it's still immediate. So yeah, I wanted to go from 0, 20, 100 to 15, 20, 100, which makes sense. What happens if I take this out? Am I handling this somewhere else and I'm just not seeing it? No, they're just 0. Okay, so that is a necessary part of the step, so... yeah. The LARP amount works, right? Because I know it works. Yes, the number that goes from 0 to 1. So then this LARP should work. It's from the from to the to. By that amount. It should be like a vector that slowly goes from 0, what is it? 0, 20, whatever, to 15, 20, whatever. Yeah, so, okay, so this, you can see that, right? That's working. That's, like, the number is going up as time goes on. So then the number is just not being used, is it? But you are overriding current position and current rotation, like you should be, so... yeah, so current position is being changed to that thing. So then what's going on here? Not the Goomba, the camera. Oh, what an idiot. Why did it let me write this? That's weird that that line doesn't throw an error because that's an empty instruction. That's not actually doing anything. Like, I'm just telling it, hey, transition handler current rotation. I'm just telling it exists. I'm not using it for anything. That's weird that it lets me do that. To be fair, it was probably throwing warnings. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's the issue. Actually, they should be rotation, shouldn't they? Degrees. Okay, so there's some weird shit happening for one frame, but other than that, it does work. Except for the rotation. I'm not sure what's going on there. Oh, because it should be plus equal. Okay. So this, since the rotation is in degrees, let's give it something like right times 90. So that's gonna be 90 degrees in whatever is right. Let's give it up so that I can check. Yeah, the transition is correctly handling that. If there is one frame where shit goes crazy though, right? I don't know if you can tell, but there is one frame. There's an in between here that we don't want. What's going on there? You know, I may be dumb. I just realized something as I went to take a sip of my tea. I just grated ginger on top of some green tea that I'm having, right? I didn't filter it. So now I'm just getting mouthfuls of ginger bits. I'm very smart. I'm very smart. By the way, I fucking hate green tea, and I fucking hate ginger. I don't like the taste of either of these things. So they better do something good for my throat, because otherwise, why am I doing this? I hate green tea. Green tea is just... ugh. It's bitter. It's bitter in a way that I don't... And I love coffee, right? But I sweeten the fuck out of it, right? Once you do, coffee has a nice taste, in my opinion. Green tea doesn't. You're not supposed to sweeten it anyway. I mean, to be fair, people will say that about coffee as well, but... whatever. Everybody can do what they're like. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second. I need to rest a bit. I mean, my issue is, right, when I sweeten the fuck out of coffee, I can taste the nice flavors of the coffee, just that they're not bitter. When I sweeten the fuck out of green tea, now it just tastes like sugar. to me, maybe my palate is not sophisticated enough. That's a possibility, but I just don't like it. It's supposedly great for the sore throats, though, so that's why I'm having it. Oh my god. I'm not feeling well. Okay, so here's the thing. I can feel the ginger going down my throat. And like, I hate it, but I sure hope it's doing something. I should not be drinking. Not in this state. Okay. Right. So the camera transitions work, right? can tell because it does that. But we have to fix that one frame flicker that there is. Now I think I have an idea of what the issue might be, right? The problem is the camera transitioner only updates the position with the lerp on the first physics process that it does, but it updates its active transition variable immediately, right? And that's not what we want. So we have to make it so that when a transition begins, the first thing it does is calculate the position, or rather set the current position and current rotation, because we can calculate with a lerp with a value of 0, but that just means it's going to be the front position. So we might as well set it right then, right? So when a transition begins, you're going to set current position to front position. You're going to set current rotation to front rotation. So when the game camera script comes along and asks you, hey, what's the current position? Because you're saying you have an active position, it's going to, even if it hasn't undergone the first frame of the process to know that, it's still going to give a value that makes sense, because it's going to be the front position. So why did I take a screenshot? So there you go, fix the flicker. Now we have to make it so that the position stays, but that shouldn't be the job of the transitioner. The transitioner only sees active transitions. The game camera knows permanent positions. So the game camera should know that when a transition begins, its position is going to instead become its offset and rotational offset are going to be the end position. And this should not break anything. Why did that make the transition immediate? Oh, yeah, okay. Stupid. Yeah, these need to happen after you call the transition, because those are values that you use to call the transition. That's what happened. That debug message actually helped me. That I wrote. Yeah, see? So the camera transitions properly. If you give it a value of a rotation to go to, it'll just do the thing without any problem. Good. So given that that's the case, we can get rid of this debug function. This one. But actually, I think there's a... Nah, let's just not get rid of it. But let's do commenting. In case it's useful sometime, right? Okay, so let's get into the practical applications of this transition system for the camera. The first one, the most obvious, is I want the camera to move up slightly when the character jumps, right? Such that you can sort of see the floor a little bit better, right? I want to get this message to go away. Let's just call this underscore sign. that'll make it better. And then no idea why I wrote that. Clearly it's not doing anything, so, but just in case there was a reason I'm gonna find out later, I'm just gonna leave it there. Commenting. So let's get to that practical application. So when the player jumps, when the player is airborne, I want the camera to sort of move up a little bit, right? So how should this be handled? Well, part of the issue is that the player is we want the player to send signals to the camera, or rather, we want the camera to be aware of something that the player is doing. But the camera is not part of the player. So how should that be handled? I'm tempted to make a child script, a script that inherits from the game camera that is specifically for the player. I'm wondering if that makes sense. How would I do it? So I know how to do what I want to do. It will be really easy to do. But how do I do this in a way that makes sense? In a way that the code does not turn into a mess? I want the camera to have a specific behavior that is only relevant when it is attached to a player. Really, when it is attached to a thing that is a character body. So, if I have a general camera, then it feels weird to give it functionality that only depends on being attached to a specific type of node. Right? But if the camera can change what it is attached to at any given point in time, if the camera can change what it is attached to at any point in time, then it would need to change whether it's the type that is attached to the node or the type that is attached to whatever, right? So what I could do is have a child node for the camera for each type of thing that it can be attached to. That will make it so that that node handles all those behaviors, and then leaving the camera node to just be a normal camera node. So this node would essentially go to the game camera and be like, hey, game camera, are you attached to a player, right? The game camera would go, yes, I am. And then this node would go, oh, okay, sweet. And then just does its stuff. Right? Yeah, how should I have these things? Oh, this is actually tricky. I don't actually know how to do this. How would this work? Being sick doesn't help. I'm just kind of losing my train of thought here. Yeah, I think the child node approach is probably better. So like this, right? Like this. We have a node, and then this node is the player camera. The player target handler. So when the target is a player, this guy handles stuff, right? And so whenever the game camera sets a new target, we create a signal, right? So would it be a signal? No, I wouldn't want it to be a signal because it's going down, so it should just be a pole. So let's do this then. So we're going to need to create two scripts. Actually, like that would be the approach, but let's, because I'm not sure I'm going to actually program a target handler that isn't for the player. So let's just do a player target handler, and then if we need to split that into a thing, then we'll do it then, right? Okay. So then we need to create a new script here. So this is this clear enough? This is not very clear. Camera handle player target. Is the thing that handles the camera when the camera has a player target. The camera handler for player target. That doesn't feel right. are you freaking out? Why is it freaking out so much? Oh, literally just glitched out, huh? That's weird. Right. So then we have the camera handler for when there's a player target. And so whenever we set a new target, we have to player target handler and notify it that there's a new target. Target, right? And so then this player handler will just have a function. And then it's going to check new target. It's gonna be check new target. Check new target. Then if is player equals true, then we gotta define the variable. So var div, well, actually let's make it just equal to false, and then we'll know it was false. Right. And so the game camera, whenever it gets a new target, it's going to tell this guy to check. If that target is a player, then, you know, this guy does its thing. If it isn't, then it doesn't, right? Why are you still freaking out? We gotta fix that as well. If script label no, and that should fix it. Right. Actually, no, that won't fix it. Because we gotta also check that it is in camera. That should fix the issue. Right, so the idea is now this check new target is checking if that target is a player. For that matter, we should also make it so that it doesn't really matter to you if this guy is a player, right? Does it? So we're just gonna change names. This is going to be default target. We make the new target the default target. Um. Yeah, what the fuck? Also, you close. I don't need you. What's your fucking problem, dude? What is your problem? It is a game camera. What do you mean invalid access to property or key player on the base object of type no 3D game camera? There is a player on the game camera. The game camera type has a player. Oh, yeah, never mind. It doesn't anymore. That's literally the thing that I changed. It's not a player anymore. It's a default type. Oops. Okay. So I did fix the error, but then I closed it again. Right. So that should do it, right? So then on we have to check on physics process, right? Probably. We have to check well, we have to store the player, so. And if not, it doesn't matter because active will be false. So if not active, then return. Really simple. Otherwise, we're going to be checking something. So what we want to check is if the player is airborne, right? So actually, it's not quite that simple, is it? We don't want to check if the player is airborne. We want to check if the player just became airborne. I will go to the restroom because when you're chugging water to stay hydrated when you're sick, you'll have to do that more often. So give me 1 second. Right, I'll be honest. I'll probably just end the stream as soon as I'm done working on this camera stuff. I did want to go on longer, but yeah, I don't feel amazing. And to be fair, I only started this stream out of spite of this illness. It's probably better not to force it. Besides, I do have other obligations anyway. So the one thing that we do want to check is whether the player just became airborne or not, right? Because if the player became airborne, or if it landed on the ground, then we need to properly do the transitions that we want. We want a reminder, we want the camera to shift up when the player leaves the ground. So that should be just a rotation transition. We don't need to change the position. So here's what we'll do. We will need 2 variables. These are long variable names, but that's on purpose. It's more explainable that way. It's easier to understand that way. I have these 2. So on the first, we want to check our test scene because this is where we can get the easier preview. On our first, we want the rotation to be -10, 0, 0, right? Then on the second, we want our rotation to be Probably minus 40. 00. How to guess? So minus 10 00, minus 40 00. Let's just go with those. Right? So then we have to actually make sure that this triggers these transitions. The transition should be really quick, because this is to help the player see, so... Transition time should be something like 0.2 seconds, no more than that, right? Then we want to check is this. If those two values are different, then we need to transition. This is just so that I don't have to call the function twice. So how do we call the transition? Well, which transition do we call? That's the question. Right? So this is going to tell us whether the player landed this frame. If it didn't land, we can assume that it just took off. Okay. Let's actually write that. we'll take advantage of that thing that we wrote, so... If I'm calling up, then I should use a signal, right? So... So yeah... I don't like that though. Because that's gonna mean that the game camera is going to have... Can I connect the various signals to a single function? Google, help me. GT script. Yeah, right? So... Session time. Function that it's going to be expecting itself. Vector 3 point. Actually, let's leave it as null, and if that doesn't work, then we'll go to null. And air on around the rotation. And then else, same thing, but it's gonna be player on air camera rotation. Yeah. Okay. Right, and so then the idea is this game camera is this is attached here. If you disconnect. Connect. It doesn't matter that it's the target handler, we want it to be able to just be any, so on camera rotation transition order, right? Like that. When this happens, it's going to do transition time rotation. I'm not sure if this is gonna just straight up work, but it sure will be nice. Right, I need that. Why are you freaking out again? Oh. There you go. Okay, but every time you're throwing an error, so that's... Can I see the entire error, please? Thank you. Error calling signal camera transition order to callable node 3D gain camera GD. On camera transition order can convert argument 2 from nil to vector 3. Okay, so that's what I expected to happen. That's one thing that I expected to happen. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna call it vector 3. No, not a vector 3i. And it's gonna be the infinity vector. And the infinity vector is, I think I defined it in the transition manager, just the signal for we don't want to transition this part. We want the position to remain the same. Okay. Wow, what the fuck? Try again. Alright, what's going on? It's taking that infinite and running with it. That's what's going on. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take the camera. And camera. We're gonna actually properly check here if either of those are infinite. Although actually it should be passing this as infinite, right? So then this as infinite in the transition handler. Right, but it's not checking it here, so... And the same thing for the rotation. Okay, the transition is happening, but it's not as fast as I thought it would be, and I was pretty sure that I gave you the time. So what's going on? You received the time here. What time are you receiving again? Actually, did I define that? It should be 0.2. Which is the transition now. So you should be receiving 0.2. Doing 0.2 here, passing it here. It's a ball. Okay, that's the issue. It shouldn't be a ball, it should be a float. Okay, it's a bit difficult to tell, and actually the transition should be way quicker than 0.2. Should be something like 0.1. Should probably be a little bit softer as well. Like with ease in and ease out, right? Also, it's very difficult to tell that jumping is actually happening because the platform is black. So let's change the color a little bit. Make it rather than black, let's like red, but like soft. And then we would want like a shadow as well on the guy. Okay, so that should be the world environment. Okay, it doesn't actually matter. You can tell, right? Whenever I jump, the camera sort of does this whoop thing where it goes up. Which theoretically makes it easier to line up your jumps, right? In this 3D environment, because you can more easily tell where you're going to be landing. More importantly, it means that the transition system for the camera just works flawlessly, right? I do wish that these transitions eased in a little bit, and eased in and out. This just works. Oh, that's nice. I'm pretty happy with this camera. Okay, so sorry to be cutting the stream short today, but I've said it multiple times already. I am very sick. Well, I'm not very sick, but I'm pretty damn sick. So I'd rather not keep forcing it, which is a shame. I did want to do a longer stream today. Bye bye. Bye bye. Yeah, that's all I want to say. Bye bye.